And now we'd like to welcome up to the stage our scientist friend, Mr. 40 Million himself, Mr. Russ George.
Hi, great to be here. This is a show all about bringing the fish back, and we're bringing good news, and that is that we can bring the fish back. So you saw the image of the volcano and heard the 40 Million Salmon song, which was all about the Kasatochi volcano in Alaska that erupted in the summer of 2008. And no, not very many people took notice of it except those of us who study plankton blooms in the ocean, because dust, when it arrives in the ocean, brings the ocean to life. And so in the summer of 2008, the ocean bloomed. And sure enough, you know, we watched and watched to see what would happen, and really not until 2010 did any big events happen. But in the summer of 2010, everybody around this area knows that the biggest sockeye run in all of history returned, completely unexpected. Where we thought 1 million fish were going to show up, 40 million fish came home. And I've been working on this whole topic for 25 odd years about how to restore ocean pastures. Those are where the plankton blooms are. And the fact that all it takes is a tiny amount of dust. And a very famous scientist named John Martin spoke of this in the late 1980s, and he unraveled the Gordian knot about iron in the ocean, mineral dust in the ocean, and he worked out how little dust was needed to bring the ocean back to life. And so if you imagined a piece of the ocean, the volume of this room, how much rock dust would you have to put into this amount of ocean to turn it from a desert into the Garden of Eden? Well, that's no more than 10 or 20 grains of salt worth of rock dust in this volume of seawater turns the ocean from a desert into a garden. So last year, I got together with a group of colleagues from the village of Old Masset after 6 years of work with various government agencies planning the project very carefully. And we loaded up one rusty old fish boat with 100 tons of rock dust, which might sound like a lot, but it's a tiny amount. And we did an experiment that the entire world's science community had been calling for to be done, and that is to enrich a patch of ocean about 100 kilometers by 100 kilometers and see what would happen. See if it would come back to life, if we could restore it. And we did. The ocean turned from blue to green. We sat out there for months on the boat collecting scientific data. Every day we had the most modern ocean science instruments known to man working with us. And the data is still being processed, but this year the best of the news came is that this year there's a historic pink salmon run. And it turns out our little patch of ocean pasture was right dead center in the heart of pink salmon territory. So this year, in previous years, 114 million pink salmon was the largest number, and I saw last week that the Alaskans in southeast Alaska had already landed 264 million, right? So it's and pink are the most numerous of all the salmon. And so in every river and stream from Alaska to California, we're seeing the largest run of salmon in all of history. And people have asked me whether those are my fish from the plankton bloom, and I say, well, seems likely. Nothing else happened out there that changed the world except that the ocean came back to life. You know, with the effort of just myself and 11 Indians on an old rusty fish boat. Pretty simple process, you know, in a very small boatload of dirt, right? So we'll tell you a little bit more about salmon and fish and bringing the ocean back to life.